read color. So today I thought I would do something a little bit different, and that is talk about the pages that I've been working on during the week. So the first one that I've been doing is from Dark Fairy Tales by Kirby Rosannes, and the page that I'm working on is Princess Aurora. So I belong to a group on Instagram where we are coloring this book together, and the page that we are working on in October and November is this one. So far I have done the gold elements, so her crown and this gold, I don't know, neck doodad, I don't know what it's called, and I've done her face. I am using Derwent Lightfast pencils on this page, and I must say that the pencils are working really, really nicely. They glide on the paper, which is quite smooth, but they also layer quite nicely. They're beautiful pencils, and I have this plan to use them more. Yeah, so anyway, that's how this one is coming along. My plan now is to do her hair. I had this idea that I would do her face half alive and half dead. So I was going to do this side of her face pink and then this side of her face blue. But when I started doing that, it didn't look right to me. So I'm just going to keep her face this color, but the page is still going to be half alive and half dead. So I'm going to make this side of her hair lighter and then this side of her hair the same shade but darker. And then of course the roses will be dead on this side and alive on this side. As I go along, I'm going to see if that continues to work. If it doesn't, I will change my plans. Yeah, we'll see. Okay. Another page that I am working on is in By the Sea by George Dufexis. This is a color by number book, and if you're interested, I have on the channel a video for tips and tricks on how to color in color by numbers books. Anyway, so the page that I'm working on is this one. It's almost done, and I'm absolutely in awe of how it's coming out. I love putting the colors down and seeing the page come to life. Anyway, so I color in this book when I need to relax, and therefore it's a slow work in progress, but I actually want to finish it by the end of the month. I don't have that much left, so I'm hoping that I can do it. Anyway, so I'm using Castle Arts 120 pencils on this, and yeah, I really like the way my clouds have come out and the brightness of the palm trees. It really does look like a tropical paradise. So yeah, this is another one that I've been working on. Okay, and the last page that I'm working on is in Daydreams by Hannah Carlson. And this, oh, not that one, it's this one. So this page was actually begun in, I think it was April 2024, because I wanted to do it for Easter. So I had colored the mushrooms, and then I got sidetracked by the new and shiny. And so I put it on the back burner, and it was a whip for a long time. And then Jody from Jody Moments asked if we wanted to color a page in Daydreams together. And I said, great. And this would be a perfect opportunity to continue my whip. So this is the page we decided on, and I have made progress. It's almost finished, actually. I'm actually hoping to finish it today. So what it is polychromos pencils for all of the elements on the page, and then the background is watercolor. So I've put down a layer of, I'm trying to think what watercolor it was. I think it's the new Kuretake Gansai Tambi watercolors as a base layer. And then on top of that, it is Faber-Castell Art Grip Aquarelle pencils. So I let the watercolor base dry, and then I put the watercolor pencils on top and I've let it dry. And now I'm going to put pencils. I'm still debating whether I want to use the Faber-Castell Polychromos like I've done on all of the other elements, or the Derwent Color Soft, because I find that Derwent Color Soft works better on dried wet mediums than Polychromos. So I'm going to test out a little area first to see what works. And yeah, you'll see the completed page in my completed pages video towards the end of the month. Right, so that is my work in progress in Daydreams by Hannah Carlson. Anyway, now let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is our work in Small Victories, which is our project book for the channel. So if you are new here, this is our project book. We're going to be working on this book on our Saturday Snippets. Now, I'm not sure that I'm going to be working on this book every single Saturday Snippets. It will definitely be the project book, which we will return to again and again, but it could be that interspersed between pages of Small Victories, I will work on other pages. Also, if you are new here, the whining in the background is my 17-year-old Jack Russell Toby, who has decided that it is time for breakfast. So give me 1 second. Sorry about that. Anyway, where was I? Oh yes, we were discussing Small Victories, and the page that we are working on is this page with the garden snail and the garden bee. So we finished the snail and we are working on the bee, and last time we used watercolors and we put in the honeycomb, and today we're going to finish off these leaves in the bee's wings. I've decided which color I want to use, and we're going to shade the honeycomb. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, we're zoomed in and we are going to start with these small leaves, and the combination that I decided on is jasmine, hold on, 1012, pumpkin orange 1032, and terracotta 944. Okay, so we're just going to put in a light layer of the jasmine on all of these leaves. Yeah, so last time I couldn't decide whether or not to make them green or orange, and then I decided on orange. Yeah, so just a reminder that if you're new to the channel, these Saturday snippets are chatty videos. So I talk about all sorts of things that have happened during the week at work, in TV shows that I've been watching, 1032, books I've been reading, interesting tidbits that I have encountered. So, yeah. Anyway, good morning to everyone. It is Saturday morning here, and it is a bit rainy. The winter has finally decided to arrive, which is nice because my allergies have been acting up with the dry weather. But now that it started raining, I'm hoping that, yeah, they'll decide that allergy season is over. Okay, now terracotta 944, just in the deepest shadow areas. These spaces in this book are so tiny that you don't need very many pencils. Yeah, so I had a nice week. I obviously went to work. My students are progressing with their writing. I'm very pleased with them. Right, so now we are moving on to these little flowers, and we're also going to base with the jasmine 1012. Okay, but we'll do a slightly different shade of orange. Okay, so we're going to use the Scarlet Lake 923. Yeah, anyway, as I was saying, my students are improving their writing. They have gotten the hang of introductory paragraphs, and this week we're going to be moving on to writing body paragraphs. We will see how that goes. Okay, now Tuscan Red 937. Again, just in the shadows. Okay, and we're going to blend that out with jasmine. Oh, I like those. They look nice. Okay, and then for these tiny, tiny little ones over here, we're just going to use the Tuscan Red 937, because there's nothing much you can do with them. They're just really, really tiny. Yeah, so that was my writing course. And in my Introduction to Prose and Drama course. We finished studying the elements of fiction, and we started applying them to a story. And the first story that we read is After 20 Years by O. Henry. The students liked it. I think these tiny, tiny little ones are also going to be orange. So back to the jasmine. Yeah, so that was work. I also had a funny a funny incident with my boss. So we have in our department, we have a very cool classroom. It's a technological classroom. So it's got the fancy computer and the fancy monitors, and it's got chairs that move so the students can work in groups or in pairs. So the chairs and tables move around. Anyway, so I have been scheduled to work in that classroom, and my boss, he teaches next door to me, and he told his assistant that it's not fair that she gave me the cool classroom. He was very disappointed in her. Anyway, so that was a funny situation. Okay, let's go to this side and do exactly the same with all of these colors, but on this side. Okay, so back in with the jasmine. Yeah, so that was that was funny, and yeah, he's a cool boss. He doesn't get in our way. He just lets us get on with it, which I appreciate. Okay, next is, I'm trying to think, what color did I use there? Pumpkin orange? Yeah, pumpkin orange. Yeah, he just lets us get on with the teaching. But he supports us when we need it. And yeah, so for example, talking about supporting it when we need it, I had a student, sorry, who wanted to change groups. I teach academic writing to 2 different groups of students, and the student wanted to change groups, and I said that there wasn't an option to do that, so he sort of tried to go behind my back. Just a second, Tuscan Red. But my boss wouldn't let him, so he backed me up. He said that it's not a problem, it's not an option, so the student will just have to stay in the group he's in. Yeah, the courses have waiting lists, so if a student drops out, the waiting list moves up, right? But he wanted to like change groups and take the spot of a different student who was on the waiting list, and that's not fair. So he will just have to stay in his own group. Okay, now we're moving on to these ones. Again, jasmine. Yeah, so that was my work week. And then we used the Scarlet Lake 923. Yeah, and I haven't been reading that much. I've been coloring, so I haven't been reading that much. And I've gone back to doing puzzles on my puzzle app. I actually had to restart that app, 937. So I have on my old iPad, which is no longer really, it's not updating anymore. So it's on its last legs. So I have a new iPad, and I have an app for coloring where you can choose the colors from a palette. So you upload a picture of a palette, and then the app helps you choose the colors. It matches it to various pencil brands. Actually, I know that Karen from My Colorful Country Life and also Sarah Renee Clark are developing apps that will do the same thing. But in the meantime, I use this app, which is called, one second, I'm just figuring out which pencils to use. Yes, the Tuscan Red 937. Yeah, so it's called the Color Picker for Artists. So I've had that app on my old iPad for a really long time, and I bought it, I paid for it. So now that iPad is on its, as I said, on its last legs, I wanted to download the app onto my new iPad, but it wouldn't let me. It was, the option was grayed out. And then I saw that if I wanted to download it onto my new iPad, I had to repurchase it, which I thought was unfair. I'd already bought it. I'd already paid for it. I should be able to download it onto, you know, any device that I own. So I was kind of cranky. Anyway, so I was doing some research on what I could do, and I found a YouTube channel. There's a YouTube channel for everything. I found a YouTube channel that explained that if you want to do that, if you want to get an app that you have purchased onto a new iPad and it won't let you, so what you can do is you can back up your old iPad and reinstall everything onto the new iPad. So that's what I did. I deleted I reset my new iPad, and I backed up my old iPad, and I put my old iPad's contents onto my new iPad. Okay, right, what are we gonna do next? We're gonna do these leaves. Let's zoom out and have a look at what the picture looks like. Okay, yeah, that was a good choice, the oranges. And now I'm gonna do them green. I was debating whether or not to do them orange as well. So yeah, we're gonna move on to these little leaves over here, and we've also got to do this flower, which I think is also going to be orange. And so we're gonna do that first. Okay, so we're gonna do these little ones. Anyway, so because I did that, because I put the contents of my old iPad onto my new iPad, all the apps that I had on my new iPad got reset. Okay, we're moving on to pumpkin orange. Yeah, which is okay. It's not the end of the world, but my puzzle app got reset. So all of my accumulated points disappeared, but it's okay because you can, first of all, you can re-download the purchases, which is good because I purchased some puzzle packs. Now we're on to Tuscan Red. Oops, 937. But all of my points had also vanished. So I had logged in with Facebook, and so Facebook had, had stored all my points. So I got all of that back, which is nice. But all of the puzzles that I'd completed were no longer completed. I'm going to have to do them all over again, but I don't mind because it's such a fun app. I enjoy using it. All right, we're going to do that. And we're going to take the Tuscan Red and just put in a little over there. Okay. Okay. It looks a little bit smushy because the spaces are so small, but it's good enough. Okay, now we're going to go over to this one. Yeah, so I was doing puzzles, and when I do my puzzles, I listen to audiobooks. So the audiobook that I'm listening to now is called, what color did we use? We used pumpkin, orange. Is called The Night Woods, and it's by Paula Mounier. It's a series. It's called the Mercy Carr series. And this is book 5 in the series. And Mercy Carr, she's a military veteran, and she has a dog called Elvis. So that's the name of the series, Mercy and Elvis. It's about her and her dog and the mysteries that they solve together. Anyway, so this is book 5. The whole series takes place in Vermont. So it's got lots of lovely descriptions of the nature, and her husband, which is it's sort of like got a minor romance to it, the series. And they've been, their romance develops over the course of the books. So anyway, now he's her husband. It's not too much of a spoiler. It was obvious from the start. He's a game warden. So a lot of the action takes place in the woods. I'm just going to get a yellow acrylic marker to do some dots. Hold on one second. Okay, so we're just going to put some dots in this area over here and over there. Yeah. Okay, so now we're moving on to these leaves. And we're going to use a base of lime peel, 1005. Okay. Also very tiny leaves. So let's do that. Yeah, so that's the audio book that I'm listening to. It's a fun series. I love books with dogs, as long as nothing happens to the dogs. 911, which is olive green, just in the shadow areas here. Yeah, so that, but the Kindle book, the library book that I'm reading has sort of been put on the back burner because I've been doing my puzzles. And, okay, now we're just going to put some Prussian green in the deepest shadows here. And I think the problem is the reason it's being put on the back burner is because it's kind of slow and I don't really care about the characters, which is unfortunate. Okay, so let's go over to this side now and do those same leaves. So it's also a book in a series. It's a historical romance. It's called Pleasures of Passion, something like that, by Sabrina Jeffries. So Sabrina Jeffries writes series that are interconnected, and I've been working my way through her backlist of books. So this is the third book in her Sinful Suitors series, which is a spin-off of an earlier series, and that series was a spin-off, and so on. And this particular couple, I'm just not feeling them. So yeah, I think unfortunately this book might find its way to the DNF pile if something doesn't happen really soon. I'm like a quarter of the way through the book and it's taken me, I don't know, a week, maybe more than a week to read it. So that's not a good sign. So yeah, anyway, I've also been watching TV. Okay, right, I think that's it for all of these elements. Let's zoom out again. Yes, we have finished all of the flowers on these wings. I'm still not sure what I'm going to do for the spaces in between. I'm thinking just a really light layer of watercolor pencil when we eventually get to it. I think I might decide when we do the head of this bee, which I'm also still not sure what we're going to do. But what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to shading, and we're going to shade the body of the bee. And I just want to remind everyone of our inspiration picture. So 1 second. Right, so this is our inspiration image, which I found on Pinterest, and we've put down the layer of watercolor. And now we're going to shade and try to get this effect that it's got going here. I see that some on the top of part of the bee, some of them are shaded like the honeycomb. I'm wondering if we could do that. It might be possible. We will see. Of course, it's not going to look exactly like this because our watercolor is in different places, but we will see what we can do. Right, so now I just want to say that I do have the inspiration image next to me, and I will periodically refer to it to try and get the shading that we want. And that's always a good idea. It's always a good idea to have your inspiration image nearby and consistently refer back to it. Okay, so we're going to start. I think I want to start with the light colors. So we're going to go from light to dark, and we're going to start with Deco Yellow. Okay. Yeah, so just follow the shading that the watercolor has given you. Okay, and of course, leave highlights and deepen up shadows, but also try and leave the watercolor so that it sort of shines through. Okay, right, so now we're going to move on to yellowed orange, 1002. Yeah, so yeah, I'm also, as I said, I'm also watching TV. Hi everyone, this is future Lauren doing a voiceover. Unfortunately, I noticed once I started editing that my audio had cut out at this point, and I think it's because the new microphone that I'm using, which is a lapel microphone, decided that it no longer liked my phone. It is a new technology that I will have to be learning how to use properly, and hopefully in the future this will not happen again. In any case, the rest of this video is going to be still in its chatty style, but it will be voiceover. As for the coloring, I will be putting all of the pencil numbers that I used in the description box, and most of the time I do show on the screen which pencil I am using. Right, so let's get back to all of the chattiness. Once again, if you prefer to mute me, feel free, then you don't have to listen to my ramblings. And you can put on your favorite music and color along with me, but not listen. Anyway, if I remember correctly, I was talking about the TV shows that I watched last week, and I finished watching season, I think it is 4 of FBI, and decided that I was going to take a break and watch something else. I was wanting to watch the new season of Only Murders in the Building, which is season 5, and so I binge watched that. So, for those of you who are not familiar with the show, it is about the residents of a building in New York. The building is called the Arconia, very fancy. And there are a series of murders in this building. Every season is a different murder, and 3 of the residents, played by Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selma Gomez, they investigate these mysteries. Now I'm looking at what's going on the screen right now, and I think that I'm just explaining how I left a highlight. Okay, and then put in some color to match what was going on in the inspiration picture. So it's always good to look at the inspiration picture and try to match it, or create the effects that you see on the picture. Of course, this picture doesn't really look like our inspiration picture that much, so you have some leeway. Anyway, now I'm changing pencils. I think that's Tuscan Red. So back to Only Murders in the Building. So after I finished watching the season, which I absolutely loved, I enjoyed every minute of it. I was laughing all the time, and I really like the guest cast that they had this season. It was um, Tia Leone and Renee Zellweger, and his name I think is Bobby Cannavale. They were absolutely amazing. But anyway, I was reading some reviews, and there were quite a few people who didn't enjoy this season as much as last season. But to be perfectly honest, I enjoyed this season more. Now I'm using black, and the black, if you've been watching my channel before, I talk about black and how it could be very difficult to work with because it's a dead color and sort of makes everything look kind of matte and lifeless. But if you first layer other colors and then put the black on top and then blend it out with your darkest shade of the colors that you used before, then you can get it to blend in very nicely, and it creates a lovely shine ultimately once you've got all the pencils down. Right, so that was just a little bit of a digression to talk about the coloring. And now back to Only Murders in the Building. So, as I was saying, I really enjoyed this season, but there were quite a few people who said that they didn't. But for me, it was fabulous because season 4, while I did enjoy it, much of what was happening in the season didn't take place in the building, and quite a few of the regular cast members who we are familiar with and have gotten to love over the seasons didn't have as much screen time. So, for example, for quite a couple of episodes, the characters went to Los Angeles and spent time there. So, of course, the favorites from the building weren't there. Eventually, they did return to the building and solve the crime, but this season is all set in the building. Okay, now I'm talking about going down to the next section of this bee's body and trying to merge the colors in with the colors that we already have. So to do this, I used peach, And then on top of it, I used the, I think it's the poppy red, and then the Tuscan red on top of that, so that we could get a similar gradient to the part of the bee's body that is above. I also wanted to keep the watercolor effect, so later on you're going to see how I did that. Okay, so back to the TV shows that I was watching. So after finishing Only Murders in the Building, I moved on to another show that's called Shetland. This is a show that I was watching a few months ago, and I took a break after watching the first 5 seasons to watch, I think, FBI. And now I'm back to Shetland. It's a fabulous show. It's based on a series of books by Anne Cleeves. This book series is also called Shetland, and it's set in the Shetland Isles of Scotland. So the scenery in this show is absolutely gorgeous. The mountains, the lush greenery, the sea, the water, the causeways, just absolutely amazing. I also enjoy the characters very much. They're very interesting, very multi-dimensional and well developed, and just absolutely wonderful with their charming Scottish accents. And anyway, the show is also a mystery series. So each season is a different case that the police in Shetland investigate. And yeah, they're really interesting cases. So the current season that I'm watching is season 6, which is directly related to season 4. So it's very important, really, to watch the seasons in order because there's good character development, but also sometimes they revisit earlier cases. This is a British show, so the seasons are relatively short. There are, I think, 8 episodes per season, but they are really well produced and really well done, and I highly recommend them. If you can tell from all my gushing, I really recommend this show. Yeah, so I also was watching that, and I'm trying to think if I was watching anything else. No, I think that's it as far as TV shows go. But another thing that I was talking about in my original video before it got rudely deleted was a lady that I follow on Threads. Okay, but I noticed that I am talking about something in the video, and I think it's about merging the purpley colors on the left-hand side of this bee's body with the reddish colors on the right-hand side. So I used some Tuscan red in the corner to merge it with the layer above, and then I used the violet and then the Parma violet, and then blended it with the sky blue light. So that's what I'm talking about here in the coloring section of the video. And then I slowly but surely merge the two colors on each side of this bee's body together. I did leave the pink highlight in the middle just to keep it cohesive. Yeah, so that's what I'm showing here on the coloring side of this video. Anyway, so where was I? Right, I was talking about a lady that I follow on Threads. Um, the name of her Threads is, I think it's Carter Sefeli, but she is an animal foster. Primarily, she fosters dogs, and she fosters pregnant dogs and their puppies. So sometimes the puppies come to her with their mother, and sometimes the puppies come without their mother, and sometimes she gets the pregnant dog and the puppies are born with her, and she looks after them, and she fosters all of these dogs until she finds homes for them. She's just absolutely fabulous. Um, Here in the video, I'm going back to what I'm seeing on the screen. I decided that I wanted to put in a little bit of the Scarlet Lake here in the middle to match the highlight that I have in the layer above. You will notice at the end of this video that I decided I didn't like it and I took it out. So at this point, if you are following along with the coloring, you can actually skip this bit. Yeah, because I actually removed it. Yes, so I'm just going to yeah, carry on chatting. And as I said, you do not need to color this bit because I removed it later on. Anyway, back to Camp Carter. That's what it's called. Where she fosters all these puppies. So she has a new set of puppies that she's fostering. She actually started by fostering the mother, which was named Salem. The dog's name is Salem, and she was believed when she originally went to the shelter, she was believed to be a senior dog because she's got this wiry fur that looks quite gray. And I think the people at the shelter initially thought that she was actually a senior dog. But when the vet checked her, he said, no, no, she's not a senior dog. In fact, she's pregnant. So that's when Carter was brought in, and she took Salem home with her, and she looked after her until her puppies were born. And they were born on the 31st of October. So when she named all of the puppies, she named them supernatural names. So there are four puppies. The only girl is called Nyx, after the goddess of the night. And then there's Hex, Tarot, and Eclipse. And Eclipse is the runt of the litter. Now, while he's technically the runt because he's the smallest of the puppies, he's not actually that small compared to them. He's just a little bit smaller. And he is just so cute and adorable. Um, and it's kind of sad as well. I mean, it's lovely because they're lovely puppies, but it's also kind of sad as well because her previous group of puppies, litter of puppies, also had a runt. Only that one was very, very small, really, really tiny puppy. And unfortunately, her name was Tadpole, and unfortunately, she didn't make it. She died, and the internet was just grieving this adorable little puppy. But now we have the new puppies, and they seem to be thriving, which is wonderful. I just want to talk a little bit about what I'm showing on the screen. So here in our inspiration picture, the bottom of this bee was slightly darker, and it had a black bottom. So the whole bottom part that I'm coloring now in the inspiration picture is really dark. And so what I was doing here was layering the Copenhagen blue on top of the Parma violet. And then later on, I used indigo blue to create the darker section, to put in the deeper shadows, and also black. So you're going to see that on the screen in a few minutes, how I did that to get the darker part of the bottom of this bee. Um, anyway, uh, right. So that is one of the ladies that I follow on Threads, and another lady that I follow on Threads is a lady who has a cat. I think I've talked about this cat on previous Saturday snippets. Its name is Baby Corn, and this cat is just the most adorable cat I have ever seen. He is so cute. So, Baby Corn, while he is otherwise healthy, he has here on the screen I'm putting in the indigo blue, so for the shadows, as you can see. Anyway, so Baby Corn has some sort of neurological disorder. I'm not sure what it is, and in fact the lady who is raising Baby Corn, I don't think she knows what it is. I can't think if I remember correctly, she said the vet is not sure because it's supposed to be a particular disorder that is quite common, but he doesn't match all of the criteria for this disorder. But in any case, I digress. Baby Corn has terrible balance, and he's very wobbly, and he wobbles all over the place, but he enjoys life to the fullest. This cat, he is just adorable, and all the videos that she posts about him are fabulous. She took him to Italy. And it was really interesting how she arranged all of that. But now we're getting updates on Baby Corn and how much he's grown and how well he's doing. And to my mind, I actually think that his wobbling, it's decreasing as he's getting older. I think he's getting much more stable on his legs. But he's adorable. So if you are on Threads, I highly recommend that. And now I am putting in the black. Okay, so what I decided to do in this coloring section is just put black on each side of this bee's body and then blend it out with the darker colors. So I blend it out with the violet on the purple side of this bee's body, and I blended it out with Tuscan red on the red side. Yes, so that's what you're seeing now on the screen, blending the black out. As I said, it's really important to always layer first with other colors before putting black, and also blend out with the darker color. So with the blue section, I blended out with indigo blue, which is what I'm doing now on the screen. Okay, so another thing that I want to talk about, which is actually not something I spoke about in the original version of this video before my audio disappeared, and that is a couple of cool events that are taking place in the coloring community. One of them is the Nove Mad Tea Party 2025 hashtag, hosted by Jamie from Finding Joy in Color, Tulgy Wood, Crafty Mama Bear 87, and Julianne Annette Art. And for this hashtag, we are coloring Alice in Wonderland themed pages. Let me just tell you what you are seeing on the screen, and that is me explaining that I don't know yet what I'm going to do with this bee's head, and I will decide once I have colored all of the other elements on the page. In the meantime, I'm coloring the top of the bee's body. And yeah, back to the other coloring event, and it is actually an event on ColorTube. So many of the colorists who have YouTube channels are participating in a tag that was developed by Shelly at Shell's Coloring Journey. And this hashtag is answering 27 questions that have to do with our coloring books and our coloring in general, our history with coloring, how we began coloring, and our favorite books, and our recommendation books for beginner colorists. So yeah, I strongly recommend jumping in and watching the people who have already made videos, including myself, for this wonderful tag. And if you have a channel, then it would be great if you also created one of your own, because we are learning so much about each other. It's a fabulous way to hear people's coloring stories, and I'm enjoying it immensely. So strongly recommend doing that. And even if you don't have a coloring channel, you can definitely participate. We'd love to hear your coloring stories in the comments sections, and yeah, feel free to answer them yourself. Yeah, so on the screen you can see that I am layering with the green pencils. First I put down a layer of Deco Yellow, then Lime Peel, then Prussian Green, and in a second you're going to see me put a layer of Indigo Blue. Here's the Indigo Blue. When you put Indigo Blue on top of green, it gives you an even deeper green color that is perfect for dark shadows for trees and for grass, and here for this bee's the upper part of the body. So I'm also shading under the head, which will basically show later on that the head is overlapping the body. Yeah, so now that I have got time to think about it while I am doing this voiceover, I'm thinking what to do with this bee's head. So in our inspiration image, the bee's head is also watercolor, and it's a sort of a mix of all the different colors that are on this bee's body. So that is one option. We can go back in with watercolor and put down a base layer, and then color over it with all of the pencils like we're doing now. And actually, I'm thinking that I might do that. The other option is to just use the pencils like we did on the bee's wings without a watercolor base. Now, the advantage of that is that it will merge in quite well with the flowers that we've got on the wings. And also in this bee's head, there are these other leaves, and I think they are bluebells hanging there. So it might be better to color it that way. I'm not sure. I could go either way. It would be great if you could let me know what your preference is. Would you prefer that I use watercolor as a base, like I did for the honeycomb and for the bee's body, and then go over with pencil? Or do you think it would be better if we colored it like we did the leaves and flowers on the wings. Let me know in the comments if you have a preference, and I will go with the majority. So you are going to decide this for me. I think that's the easiest. I'm just going to give up responsibility for it. Okay, so I think that the voiceover portion for this video is coming to an end. It's almost up. I can see on my editing software. So thank you so much for your patience in going through these technological difficulties with me. I'm nevertheless quite pleased that this happened overall, because I learned some new and very important lessons from it, like to make sure that my microphone is actually recording while I'm speaking, and also how to do voiceover. So yeah, that worked out okay. So as I said, we are now ending the voiceover and going back to the real-time speaking. Thanks for sticking with me. Right, so this is what our bee is looking like right now. I just want to apologize again for the issue with the microphone. I'm still learning the technology, but it did have an upside that I learned how to do voiceover, which I didn't know how to do before. Anyway, I also want to note that I did make a slight change to this bee, and we had that red here in the middle, and I decided after looking at it that I didn't like it. So I erased it and then just blended with the other colors. Next time we're going to continue with this bee. We might even be able to finish it. We're going to shade the honeycomb with the colors and try and get the same effect that we've gotten on the bee's body. We're going to do the head, and then we have two options for the wings. Either I will just outline everything with a white gel pen, or I will take a watercolor pencil in a light blue shade to fill in the white, and then go through with a white gel pen so that we can get a transparent effect. We will decide that later on once everything else is colored and I can get a better idea of what it will look like. Anyway, thank you so much for joining me on today's Saturday Snippets, and I hope that you will join me again next week for the rest of the bee. Have a wonderful weekend, and bye for now.